You are now listening to the Do Well Collective podcast, where we help Christian millennials put their faith to work through authentic conversations and community.
For season 3, our theme is faith in action, and it is a topic that we're very excited about.
Yes.
More and more, we are seeing people connected to in powerful ways, and our desire is to capture the knowledge, experience, and wisdom of those who are doing it.
So this season, we will conduct a series of compelling conversations with industry leaders on the topic of faith and work. So be prepared to be informed, encouraged, and inspired.
For episode 1, our special guest today is Taylor Staggers. She is the founder of Handberry Creative in Atlanta, Georgia. We cannot wait to jump into the episode with you because it's going to be encouraging. So without further ado, let's jump right into the episode. Hey, welcome to the Do Well Collective podcast. I'm your host, Craig Bass.
And I'm Jalen Javier.
And welcome to the kickoff episode of season 3. We up in this thing, faith in action, long awaited.
Let's go.
Yo, I'm super excited. I think this is going to be my favorite season.
Yeah, man. Man, we got some great things coming for y'all, man. For real, season 3, long awaited. We are back in the house, and we are so excited for these guests that y'all are going to hear. We got one in the house, but before we get started, we know the anticipation is high. But before we get started, man, we just want to tell y'all again, you can follow us on social media at Do Well Collective on Instagram. We're on iHeartRadio now as well. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to follow us there, you listen, whatever, bro. You know, we still come through and listen. Share that thing, man. And soon enough as well, y'all, we're gonna be doing some live videos on IGTV. And so, man, look out for that as well. Some really big things are on the way, and we are excited, but we're going to transition now. So, Craig, you want to let them know who we got in the building? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, we going to let them know who we got in the building. But before we do, we got to let them know what this season about. You know, just let y'all know. Yeah. So, Faith in Action, we are going to be conducting a series of interviews of some really awesome people who have found a way to connect their faith to their work. And we're just going to be diving into their story, learning about what they do, how they've done it, how God has been moving in their lives while they're doing it. And we hope that this is going to inspire you, that is going to encourage you as a listener to go do that in your own unique way. And so today we have a very, very special guest with us who is dear to our hearts, someone who, what I just shared with you about putting faith and work together, someone who has done it in an incredible way. We have the founder of Handberry Creative, Miss AKA, Miss UGA, Miss ATL Shouted, Taylor Staggers. What's up, Taylor?
Hi, guys. How are you?
You probably haven't been introduced like that, huh?
I know I haven't. I was like, are they talking about me? Like, where? I thought I was going on. Who are you talking about?
Yo, Taylor, it's so, I mean, we've been talking about this for a while, and we're really excited to have you on to talk about faith and work and how you are doing it with Handberry Creative. Mm-hmm. So before we jump into it, how you doing? What's up? What's in your world?
I'm good. I'm just excited. I don't know where y'all are, but like Atlanta, there is no more pandemic. And I'm just
it is.
I don't know if I trust it yet, but everybody is outside. I'm still inside, but I don't know if I'm just behind or what we got going on. But I'm just I'm just patiently waiting to, pop back out, get outside. But I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good. Yo, I was in Louisiana for a wedding a few weeks ago. It's the same thing. Like, it ain't no pandemic. Like, nah, nothing. We up in this thing. That's right. Like, hey, I understand like why people are like that because we've been locked up for almost 2 years. So I get it, but at the same time, it's like, y'all, come on.
It's still a
pandemic in these
streets. The whole panoramic outside.
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on. But yo, that's amazing, Taylor. So, man, there's so many things we want to ask you and dive into. But let's just start with your humble beginnings. So, like, who was Taylor during those formative years of her life? Like, where did you grow up, and what was your life like during those years?
Yes.
Yeah. So as you said, I'm a Georgia peach,
Hey.
born and raised, mostly in Powder Springs, which is a suburb. I'm gonna say Powder Springs and be truthful, because if you have some Atlanta listeners, they're gonna be like, you are not inside the perimeter.
Not Atlanta.
Yeah.
I grew up in Powder Springs, which is a suburb right outside of Atlanta. I think I've just always been me. I know we're going to get into this a little bit later, but I thank God for always instilling me just to be me. It wasn't always easy. It wasn't always comfortable.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I still never really tried or, tried to be somewhere else. I feel like I wouldn't end up where I was if I that. So, yeah, born in Powder Springs, grew up in Georgia. I hope that's, going along the path of how to answer these questions. But I've just always, just been me, dabbling here, dabbling there. It seems crazy to everyone else, but there's a purpose and there's a mission and everything. But
absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely, man. That's good, man. So I want to know, like, because we know you as this it's in the name of the business alone. So we know you as this very creative person. So like, where did that start? Like, was there a moment, or were you always, how did you, become so creative?
Yeah. Like I was saying, I think it's always been in me. It's just, as you grow, you figure out what it means, right? So you asked my mom that question. I used to draw these hearts and little sunshine things everywhere, on the walls, on the doors, on my furniture, on the TV. No, seriously, I called it love.
The TV. Hold on.
Yes. Well, in my room. So I had this thing, love, hope, and unity. And so I would always draw a heart for love, a sun for hope, and I would draw these little stick figures holding hands for unity. And I always just drew these little symbols everywhere. So I think it's always, when social media became a thing, I've always loved social media. Once again, I think God was, bringing me to a place, but like I was always intrigued by it. So every social media that there is, I'm gonna probably age myself, but I don't know if y'all remember like Tagged and Bebo, like some stuff people have never heard of. I have had a profile, I promise you, on every social media there is.
Oh my God.
Was that Black Space? You had a Black Space?
MySpace and Black Planet. Come
Black
on now,
Planet.
keep
Black
up.
Planet. I know, right? Yeah, you got me.
Yeah, and so yeah, no, it's okay. So I've always been intrigued and had a calling to those things. But God he gives us those nuggets, right? But we just have to continue to grow into our purpose and realize why we are drawn to those things. But I think it's always been in me. I just had to grow confident in it and realize that just because everybody else wasn't super nerdy and into those things and drawing little things, and I had a brand, right? I didn't even realize that was what that was, right? Love, hope, and unity was everywhere.
That's fire.
And so
oh man,
wow, that is fire. Like that, I love how you said just figuring out why you are drawn to certain things. Just like why you're drawn to certain giftings. And I think that's really cool. So tell us about your faith journey. Like when did how did Jesus, impact your life? When did that start, and when did you just kind of start, like, make a commitment to yourself, like, hey, I am going to become a follower of Jesus?
Yeah, this is always an interesting question for me because I'm somewhat of a PK, if you will. Yeah. And so I feel like we don't realize that we have our own walk sometimes, right? Like grew up in the church, like all of my memories are from the church. My grandmother is a reverend, my stepdad is a pastor, so my mom is the first lady, my grandfather was a pastor. So literally grown, like even to this day, I still pretty much go to my home church that I grew up in. Jesus was, and the Lord and God and Bible was my life, right? But sometimes when you are in it all the time, you don't realize that you have to develop that for yourself.
That's good.
And so I always, was a believer, was baptized when I was 12, all these things. But I think it got real once I became an adult, right? And there was no safety net. There was no church family. There was no mom, dad there. It was you and when you realize that it's just you, that's how you see how strong your relationship is with God in Christ. And that's how you see how strong your faith is when it's not always around you, right? Because you don't have that personal connection. And so I think that's kind of when I started, okay, I need to start reading the Bible because I want to spend time with Lord, not because I'm in Bible study and the teacher's telling me to, right? I want to go to church because there's something missing in my soul, not just because my mom's telling me to get up, right? So getting out of the house and out of it always being given to me made me realize how I didn't really necessarily have my own relationship. I hope that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. And did that happen high school, college, after?
Definitely college, because like I said, while I was living at home, church was life. We were at church 3 times, 4 times a week sometimes, you know? So it felt like it was part of life. It didn't feel like it was something that I had to intentionally seek.
That's good.
And so when you are removed from it and it's up to you, you're like, oh, I got to go to church. I got to read my Bible. I got to spend time with the Lord. Or you start to realize how those other things that you start spending your time with, friends, parties, college, how easy it is to slip away. So you have to be very, very intentional. So I would say probably like sophomore year, I think once I realized that like my life is like, what is happening with my grades? You know, my relationships, just figuring out, you know, being an 18, 19-year-old woman with that, all those pressures that come with that. That's when I kind of started to realize like, all right, I got somebody that I need to talk to that I haven't spoken to in a while.
Oh man. Oh man, I love that, man. That's so good because like you said, it's so easy, especially for us. We're all Georgia kids, you know, and so we're in what the Bible Belt. And so it's always around as you're growing up as a kid a lot of times. But like you said, going off to school is a lot of times that's the first time you're really, really challenged, you know, to really develop your own relationship with the Lord. I love that. Now, I know you said your sophomore year, it's like around that time where you start to have that revelation. Now, I want to know, as you're growing in your own faith individually, when did you start to make that connection of the faith and like your work? Like, when did that start to connect for you?
So my grandma did always used to tell me that you don't realize how much you need the Lord until he's all that you got. And so I say sophomore year because as a child, we don't realize we always cling on to things that make us feel comfortable and that we know. So freshman year, I just hung out with these girls that went to high school with me. We weren't the closest friends in high school, but that was familiar to me going off to school, right? My roommate was someone that I didn't know, so I kind of clung. And so freshman year just always never felt good, right? Like my grades were terrible. I was hanging out with crowds that like I knew something wasn't right there. And so I even applied to wanting to go to a school closer to home. I hated school. It just didn't feel like, okay, I'm not supposed to be here. And you know, lots of crying, lots of like, I'm not equipped for this, all these things. And so there's just this voice that was just like, pray. And I remember that it was the beginning of my sophomore year. Like I prayed and it clicked. It's like, it's in you, right? Like you were raised in this. It's your foundation. You just have to trust it. So I, you know, definitely remember it just started off with just remembering to pray and just remembering that you're not by yourself and you don't have to try to cling on to things that are familiar because you have somebody with you that knows you, knows your heart. You're never really actually alone. So it just started with talking to God, honestly.
Oh gosh, I love that. I love that. The simplicity of that is
chills.
It starts with just talking to God. And I think that's where a lot of people get confused. It's like, well, I need to clean up my life. I need to find a church. I need to do all the just the checklist. But it's like, no, just cry out. You know, just like, yo, God.
Hello.
Hello.
It's your child here.
I'm drowning. Help.
I'm drowning, like,
Save me, Lord.
Yeah, that is so powerful. So as you were praying and, you know, like, of course, God answers, fast forward us a little bit to you tapping into the creative part of you in the college setting and what were you dreaming during that stage of your life when it comes to the creative?
Yeah.
Honestly, y'all, it was just trying to figure out where my fit was. I changed my major in college so many times. My family, my brother, because my brother actually goes to the same, he goes to UGA now. He's a freshman.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And he's just so much more mature. But I credit that to myself because, he had such a great example. No, just joking. He's far more mature and prepared than I was ever. He's and so much more confident. And I think that's what it is. I was just nothing ever fit, right? Because at first I went to a math and science high school, right? So everybody is going to be a vet or going to be a doctor or engineer, and that didn't fit with me. I'm drawing hearts and sunshines all over my room. Like I'm not trying to. So in my mind, I picked dentistry. So in school, like, okay, I'm going to be a dentist, right? Because when you're math and science, that's just what you do. No one's talking about social media at the time, right?
That's good. Yeah.
Not trying to age myself, but nobody's talking about social media as a way to market business at that point, right?
That's true.
So you're like, okay, you go to college, so you get a good job. What's a good job? Dentistry. I'll be a dentist. So freshman year, beginning of sophomore, all these biology classes, like I said before, grades not working out, not feeling fulfilled. So then I'm like, okay, what's next? I think my mom will be okay with me telling the story. We're past it. So one of my friends was going to a NABJ, which stands for National Association of Black Journalists.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that sounds super cool. So I went with them and I'm like, oh, I love this. And they were talking about the major mass media arts. And so I was like, okay, I could do that. That sounds cool. So I changed my major to mass media arts. I called my mom, told her, and she said, oh, you must be doing teeth on TV. I know. And I said, oh. And I said, oh, no. And so once again, and I think, I'm not a parent yet, but we can get into, just having to realize that, like, when our kids are young, even small kind of like jokes like that are very impressionable because I'm trying to find my place in the world. I got excited going to this meeting. I think I find a major, and then there's a comment like that. And so now my confidence is shaken, even going into this very fresh decision that I've already made. Right. And so now I'm starting this journey already like, oh, Lord. And so then I changed my major again because my school is very news focused. It was like news and sports. So that also still just didn't very sit well with me, being in those classes. So change my major again. So yeah, changed my major a couple times. But just to fast forward, I finally found my fit, which was a New Media Institute. And this was towards the end of my school. It should be now called digital media, but once again, we're early 2010s, 2009 era. So I think the world is still trying to figure out what they're going to call it. So I actually have a certificate in new media, and I loved it. We were always on the computer. We were analyzing things. We were looking at Facebook algorithms, and it just stuck. So yeah, and that was towards the end of my, my first junior year.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow. That, and I don't think it's talked about enough. Just that process of figuring things out.
Yes.
Like a lot of people think, and I fell into this kind of thinking as well, that you just have to decide. Just like when you choose it, that's you, and you have to stick with it. But it's like, no, like you do have the freedom to say, no, I'm not interested in that anymore. And I'm gonna pivot. I'm gonna shift until I do land on something that I know is a good fit for me.
Right. Because we put that pressure of 4 years on ourselves. And I'm by no means am I on here telling kids to take forever in college, right? Try to kick with the 4 years, right? Like that's, the standard, but that is by no means the requirements. Like God sets the standards. God sets the requirements. Like the world wasn't ready for me to graduate in 4 years because had I, that program that I started my second junior year wouldn't have been there, or I would have graduated before I was able to complete it. So it's like, there's a reason for everything. And even the Bible will show that Jesus, right, when he was prophesying and teaching, they tried to make him conform into what the rest of like these Jewish teachers and preachers were doing. But he started doing things outside of even that normal standard. He was like, my father came, I'm just here to shake things up. I'm not here to do what it is that y'all have always been doing for years and years. And we have to apply those same things to ourselves. Yes, there's traditions, and yes, school takes 4 years. But if God has a plan for you, you may be going outside of that.
Come on.
You may be shaking the plan up. And sometimes our parents may have to understand that too, right? What did Jesus have to tell his mom? I'm about my father's business.
Come on.
Right? I'm not suggesting that when you're 12, you go tell your mom that, please. Because if you get popped, I am not responsible. Right? But the idea is that when we find our purpose and when God talks to us, we have to be about our Father's purpose. And I would not have the skills, I would not have the mindset, or even the validation that there is a career path in digital media had I not stayed a couple of extra years. Wow. You know? And so I'm okay with that. I stand in my truth of taking some extra years of college, babe, because it was all part of the plan.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that, Taylor. That you freed some people just now. You know, seriously.
I freed myself. I've never actually really thought about that like that. Like, I'm about my Father's business. Your 4 years is cute, but it may take me 5.5, and that's okay.
Yo,
Taylor, listen, you preaching now. Listen, you preaching good. You preaching good.
I needed that for myself. I needed to acclaim. I hope, like you said, I hope that does touch somebody, but like, I needed that. Yeah. I've never actually physically said that to myself. There's been a lot of shame in that, and I get embarrassed sometimes to talk about that, but it's like, and my mama says that all the time. And what?
And what? Yeah. That's so powerful. Wow.
My gosh. That is beautiful. Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that. Seriously. That's encouraging, you know, because like I said, it's easy to look on the outside when you're trying to figure stuff out. And you see a person, you're like, man, oh man, Taylor got Handberry. Man, she got it all together. She knew what she was doing from grade 5. She had it right. And you're like, nah, I had to work through it. I had to work through it. I made mistakes. The Lord, I had to really trust the Lord. I had to go against convention at times. I had to go against what the expectations, whether it's the parents, whether it's the friends, whether it's the environment. And I think that's so powerful because this thing that you're doing, man, it's against what the regular norm would be. But that's what makes it so powerful, man, that you are willing to stand in that truth. And so, man, I love that you shared that.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow. Jesus.
Try not to cry on this podcast.
Hey, we warned you before we started.
Right, look.
We warned you. So Taylor, let's fast forward. Okay, you graduate UGA, you jump into a career. Now, I want you to tell us, like, how was Handberry birthed?
Yes.
Like, that is a dream that came out of your belly, you know, like, and just tell us, like, how did that come to life?
The same way college. So, you know, graduating college, you're like, okay, you got to get a job, right? And so, you know, I applied and love as well, honestly. So my husband at the time was my boyfriend, and he had moved to Washington, D.C. And, you know, I'm graduating a little bit later. So I'm like, what am I going to do? Because I actually ended up with my major being fashion merchandising. And then I had that new media and marketing certificate. But all of my passions were in new media, but there were a lot of jobs for that at the time. And then fashion, I didn't want to move to New York. That seemed scary. And there wasn't a lot of us in those places, in those spaces as well. But that's a whole nother story. And
she
so
black folk, black folk.
Black.
Just let you know.
And
we have
so,
a diverse set of listeners.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Y'all global. My bad. So I was a leasing agent at the time. That was my college job. So I was leasing apartments in Athens at the student apartments off campus. And so I found a good job in that same field in luxury apartments in DC. So all that time I spent in college, still, you know, I feel like my career walk has been almost a mirror of my faith walk, right?
Wow.
God sometimes, like, even though he's brought us through something else, when the next storm comes, why do we get scared again? Why do we do that?
Come on, Taylor.
So I, got scared again and decided to stay with what I was comfortable with, which is leasing apartments. But once again, God is so graceful, right? Not graceful, gracious. Excuse me. He's so gracious.
He's graceful too.
He's graceful. But in this sense, he's gracious. So I took a leasing job in DC, and the lady who interviewed me, it was an instant connection, and now her children are my godchildren. She's one of my best friends.
No way.
Her name is Nicola. Yes. And so that job grew into marketing. And so people would still hit me up and say, hey, can you help me with this? Because now people are like making websites, and people are starting to understand the beauty of social media now at this point. Because now we're, fast forward, we're in like 2015, 2016. So I'm still on the side helping people. And I'm like, people keep coming to me, asking me for help with this.
Wow.
I think God is telling me this is what I need to do.
Come on.
And so once again, like going from job to job, it's not feeling right. I worked with the Salvation Army, helping them with social media. That just wasn't feeling right. It's like all of my time, I loved helping other people create their dreams and create their websites and get their marketing out. And so that's kind of how it birthed, with me trying to put some sort of connection or structure to people just reaching out to me, helping them with things. And so 2017 was when Handberry Creative was born. And I just thank God for giving me the vision to name it Handberry Creative and not Taylor Handberry Consulting, which is what I was going to do, because it was just me. But I was manifesting. I didn't realize that's what I was doing, but I was manifesting what God was manifesting in me, and creating the space for my business to grow into something more than just myself.
Wow. Yeah. Oh wow, that's powerful. Wow.
Oh my goodness. That's beautiful, man. So I want to go back a little bit where you said you built that relationship. I think that's something that is so key, especially when it comes to going forth in our dreams. We need people, you know what I mean? God doesn't make us an island, so I want to ask you, how important is it to have just those good relationships when it comes to like building, your business and building out your dreams?
It's really important, especially when you are on a journey that we've been talking about, where it can be very isolating sometimes. It's good because we can get into our own heads, or the enemy will try to come in when you isolate yourself, right? When it's just you, and that's when the enemy tries to attack. But when you surround yourself with good, godly people, it's very important, because they will pray for you when you can't pray for yourself. They will see things or help you see things when you're not being able to see it because it's so close to you. They are able to see bigger picture. And then honestly, just to release sometimes. Yes, we, everyone wants to say like you can talk to God and he is enough, but we're human and we like that fleshly contact, and just to have a person that you can trust and actually have Jesus had confidence, right? Jesus had confidence in people that he would talk to outside of just God. And so we just have to remember that we are still fleshly beings, and we were created to be with other people. We weren't created to be alone,
to be isolated.
Because that's how the enemy will sneak in, when you're isolated.
When you're isolated, when you don't have anyone else to help you get perspective on things. And I love the difference between, there's a difference between isolation and solitude. Because there are seasons in life where you need solitude. Like you need to get alone with God so he can speak to you and shape you and transform you. But he never wants you to be isolated.
Right. And I think there's a difference, because sometimes isolation doesn't necessarily mean physical space. You can be in the same house with someone and still feel isolated in your mental space because you're not able to get your ideas out. You don't feel comfortable saying your feelings and allowing that communication to happen between whoever it is. And so once again, that enemy spirit will come into your mind and make you start thinking you think what they're thinking, and instead of actually saying that. So you can be isolated in your mind when you're not isolated physically.
That's so powerful. And One thing that we've noticed about you, Taylor, just from being in a relationship with you, is that you are awesome at building relationships. Yes. It's like you kind of remind in your sphere of influence. You kind of remind me of my cousin Chris. Shout out to my cousin Chris.
Everybody got a cousin named Chris.
But he's one of those people that he can go anywhere. Like in Georgia, I mean, in Macon, outside of Macon, and somebody's gonna know him. What's up, Chris? I'm like, man, how you know him? Right. And so you're one of those people that's like, man, Taylor knows people, and I think that's an amazing thing. And I think that's so powerful. So yeah, I think you got a little idea. So what did you want to say right there?
I was gonna say I appreciate you noticing that. However, I do think it's important to say, because it's something that I've had to. I feel like I'm too grown to just now be learning this. But I think that sometimes comes from wanting to be liked. And I really want to share this, that it's been a piece of disappointment. I try to stay positive, right? I don't ever want to change in the fact that I have such optimism and expectations, but everyone is not going to treat you the way that you should be treated. And to manage those expectations and realize that it's okay if somebody doesn't like you, or somebody doesn't get you, or somebody doesn't receive you the same way that you receive them. I've had a lot of hurt feelings. I've had a lot of disappointment because I'm so optimistic and I love meeting people. And it used to bother me, like, why can't you just be nice? But it's just like, sometimes your spirit just can't align with other people's spirits, and that's okay. But you have to work to not let it dampen you or dim your light. So I want to say that, like, don't feel discouraged, or don't feel like you're an outcast if you're like, why am I always so nice? Why do I have to be the nice one? That's okay. I'm even dealing with that now, being an adult, getting adult friends, and I don't know, it's just weird. I'm just like, am I naive, or am I too goofy or too nice? But then you meet people like you guys, and that it helps to realize that, like, God didn't want that spirit to connect with me. There's a reason I didn't connect with that spirit. So just remember that.
Wow. Come on. Yeah. And that is so powerful, especially, that's such a wise thing to know, because when you are in the area of entrepreneurship, when you're in the area of building relationships in that space, just like, let's put friendships aside, but just in that space of like building professional connections, like, it's important to know, like, all right, cool, like, your spirit, like, it doesn't mean that what you got going on is wrong, but like, we just don't connect.
That's good.
And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's okay. But like, the people that we know are integral, like, they're honest, they're go-getters, like, they have that same kind of spirit, like Joshua Caleb kind of thing.
Come on.
That's a powerful experience, and something that I think we in the business world need to make sure that we're thinking about.
Yes.
So, Taylor, wanted to ask you this question. Why is branding and marketing important to any organization? And I'll add this little footnote. I asked this question because I think some people pay more attention to it than others. Like, there are some people that are all into marketing, they're all into branding from the jump, and then there are others that kind of drag their feet. So why is it important to have a good brand and to have a good marketing strategy?
It's important so that you can stay focused, right? It's essentially the foundation, right? Because branding goes much further than colors and fonts. Like, those are good and those are pretty much must-haves. But your mission statement and your why and your purpose is also a part of your brand. And things are ever changing in this world with, like, how you market. One day it's Twitter, the next day it's TikTok, then it's Instagram, then it's going to be black space that Craig made up earlier. I'm going to claim that. There's all these different things that change with the medium, but you have to remember why your business is, who you are, and what you stand for, so that you don't get mixed up. Like, I have a really good example for this too. So y'all know Popeyes came up with the Chick-fil-A sandwich, remember? Yeah. And remember, there was this war going on between, like, the Popeyes versus the Chick-fil-A, and then Wendy's tried to hop in there. Yeah. If you know anything, Wendy's, they are very snarky and witty on social media. They bring the smoke. Wendy's will drone you. Wendy's will joan you and send you crying back home to your mama, right?
Yeah.
I love it.
And
I love it, Wendy's.
Chick-fil-A, Wendy is shady, okay?
Yeah.
My girl Wendy
is shady.
Do not mess with her. But no. But Chick-fil-A, when you think of Chick-fil-A, you think of, they're more home, they're faith-based, they're family friendly. And Popeyes and Wendy's were having like a Twitter battle, right? Just kind of like throwing out shots with each other, probably for a couple of days. It was really funny. It was on hashtag. Chick-fil-A tried to make this post. They made this whole graphic, and it was like, we started it was just so off brand for them that it flopped.
Wow.
It completely flopped because it's like, Chick-fil-A, you're Chick-fil-A. Yeah. We're not going to stop eating your sandwiches, right? Like, this is for the kids. Let the kids play, but like, remember who you are. Because when you step outside of that, trying to be cool and trying to be trendy, whether oh gosh, could this talk about our lives too? Are we talking about business or are we talking about our lives? I feel like it's very intertwined in that same thing.
Come on.
Remember who you are and stand firm in that. And so that's why branding is so important, because it signifies you and your company and what you stand for, what people should expect, because rarely are you going to be in a category by yourself, right? There's going to be another Chick-fil-A, there's going to be a Wendy's, there's going to be a Popeyes that could have something very similar to you, a chicken sandwich. But why are they coming to you for your chicken sandwich? Because they feel safe or because they want to be cool, right? Why is somebody coming to you to enjoy what it is that you have to offer? And that's why you have to spend so much time so that you don't fall into the weeds and fall into the background, or people like, where'd she come from talking about some Chick-fil-A? Go. No, like, that's why it's so important, because that it is your identity. It's your DNA in the market space.
Oh my gosh, that was like, y'all, Cash App. We're gonna have to add your Cash App. Like,
no, I'll give y'all that one for free.
No, okay, I appreciate that. All right. Hey, but no, that right there was worth. That's what people go to conferences for, just like that little bit. You know what I'm saying? Of knowledge that is so important. I mean, I love that, and I'm discovering that. I love how you connect it. Like, it is business, but it's also personal. Like, knowing who you are, like how God has uniquely made you, is so important that we spend that time discovering those kind of things and getting that right. Like, of course you can build on it, but it's so important that you get that right from the jump.
So no matter if your message is in black and white or if it's in color, what does it say? What does it say and what does it mean, and how will it make people feel?
Yeah.
Wow.
Powerful. Taylor, you got another question? I'm over here rolling, bro.
That is beautiful, bro. Oh my gosh. No, I wanted to say too, man. I love what you just shared, because that's just important. Just to stay on brand, stay who you are. Man, that's encouraging. I think you really have encouraged some people today just to know, like, all right, I ain't got to go out here and be able to have to be this person, be that person. I'm just going to be myself and work on that, man. I love that. So last thing I want to say on this, especially with the brand, like tell us, because I don't think we actually gave you a moment to actually tell us what exactly Handberry Creative is.
That's true.
So what exactly is Handberry Creative from your mouth?
Yeah, so Handberry Creative is a creative agency where we specialize in content creation, marketing strategy, and actual event activation. Haven't had a lot of chance to do that in the last year or so. But essentially, we just help with all things creative. We've kind of coined this new phrase of what's on your creative wish list. Yeah, so as the chief creative director, gave myself that title like last week, so trying it out on y'all today.
That's clean. That's clean.
I like it.
I like that. That's clean.
CCD, baby.
Yes, as the chief creative director, I can essentially, we'll sit down and think, like, what are the things that, like, what story do you want to share, right? What we just talked about, like, how do you want to get across your message, your purpose, your project, your product, and we help you figure that out. So whether that's through a video series, whether that's getting a website designed, whether that's setting up a college tour, and branding, we'll sit down and we'll figure out. But our three main things are content creation, brand, marketing strategy, and event activation.
Wow, that is powerful. That's awesome, Taylor. And just to let everyone know, we're clients.
We are clients. Yes.
We are clients.
Yes.
And we definitely stand by her brand, by her organization.
Yes.
And Taylor, before we get ready to wrap up the episode with some fun things we got in store, just to end the episode, just wanted to ask you to share, please. What advice would you give anyone who is interested in jumping into the creative entrepreneur space? Like, what advice, real quick, would you give to them?
Just stay the course. I mean, this is the advice that I honestly give anybody, no matter what it is. Stay the course. If you know your foundation and you know that this has been something on your heart, on your mind, and it was given to you and you've prayed about it, just stay the course. Everyone is not going to understand. Everyone is not going to understand the vision, see your vision. Just stay the course, be consistent, and it's going to pay off and it's going to make sense. And what you deem as struggle may free somebody later, right? You'll be able to speak to something that somebody else is going to need to go through. And that's why you had to take that specific journey so that you could help that person. So just know that everything has a reason and just stay the course.
That's powerful, Taylor. Wow, thank you. Jesus. Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you. Wow, that's good.
Thank
Go ahead,
guys.
Jay.
All right, man. So we're gonna close it out on some fun things, man. So all right, Taylor. So before we got started, you freestyled a little bit. You know what I mean? You dropping some bars.
Hey, the folks didn't hear, but you were freestyling.
You dropped some bars. Hey, Taylor got some bars. Don't let her fool you. Now we have this thing we want to do called a verse freestyle. And so we wanted to share a verse with you, and you just give us like your take and how we could like implement that into just life. So the verse freestyle, the verse is Philippians 2:3-4. It says, don't be selfish. Don't try to impress others. Be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves. Don't look out only for your own interests, but take an interest in others too. So just rapid fire. Give us your take on that, how we can put that into action.
First freestyle, baby.
What I got from that is like nothing is really about us. Nothing is for you. Your talents, your gifts, the things that you reap from that, it's not about you. If you're a child of God, it's for a bigger purpose. It's for God's love, his mission, and his will to be done. Every talent you have, every thought, every blessing that has been given to you is not for you. And it's hard to understand that, but it's for everyone else. It's for God's purpose, right? Because he's not just going to talk to you. Like, he loves you, right? You're God's child, but we are many children, right? There are many children and we all have a purpose. It's like the body, right? Like, do you love your nose more than you love your foot?
Come on.
Sometimes you do, but if you didn't have one or the other, it's not going to work the way that it is intended to work. And so that's kind of what I got from all of that together. It was a powerful verse and I love it. But from all of that, I was just getting like, it's not just for us, right? You can't hold on to it. You can't hoard it. You can't think that you're better because you are more seen or whatever. Everybody has a purpose.
Wow, that is amazing. Hey, Bible verse freestyle, you did great.
You killed it.
You like dropping the mic, like,
oh my gosh,
like you. For our guests that coming after you,
you
like,
better bring it.
You said a high bar.
Hey, Lord.
Hey, that's what's up. So let's move on to some favorites. We want to ask you, what's your favorite food, TV show, music? But just give us a favorite, whatever you want to share. A favorite food, TV show, restaurant right now. But what's something that you've been really digging?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know why. Of all the things you asked, why is this the hardest?
Is there anyone on social media that's been like really speaking to you, or music that's been really vibing?
Okay, I can talk on music. So there's this artist. I don't know if I've shared with you guys. Her name is Natalie Lauren. I love her. I think her music is so real. And when you, especially her album Handle with Care, it literally speaks to a young millennial Christian journey. And it starts off with, she has this song, I try to listen to it every single morning, called God Morning. And it starts off so positive, like everything is good. God got me. I got flowers. You know, sometimes we wake up and we are so,
I know,
like,
right?
into our faith.
Yeah.
Like, oh, can't nobody shake me because it's me and God, right? You so happy. But the world is here, right? And we're fleshly. We aren't perfect. And there are going to be those times, and right in the middle of the album, it's this song called White Noise. And she asked the question, she was just like, there's this white noise. Is it mine or yours, God? Like, she's essentially struggling she can't hear him anymore. And she realizes that it may be me. Like, am I the cause of the silence? Or are you, like, she just had to have this honest conversation. Yeah. Like, the silence is so loud when you do. And I think we touched on that earlier, where when you take church out, when you take your parents making you read the Bible, when you take Bible study out, you realize just how noisy the rest of the world is. Wow. And you have to be very intentional to hear it. So I would encourage everyone to go listen to that album, Handle with Care. So it's amazing.
Let's go.
If anyone has ears, let them hear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Oh my goodness.
Yo, Taylor, we getting ready to jump off here. It's been a pleasure.
Yes.
Like,
this
conversation
pleasure is mine.
Has been so enriching. Gosh, I know we're filled up by it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Bless me.
Yeah, definitely been blessed.
Oh my goodness.
Y'all blessed me with this. I appreciate it so much. I'm so honored.
Absolutely.
No.
So go ahead. I'm sorry, Jaylen. You want to take this one?
Oh yeah. I think we on the same page.
Yeah, no, we on the same page. Go ahead,
same page.
Go ahead.
Before we go, Taylor, let the people know where they can find you and how they can support you.
So you can find me on all social platforms at Tayhand, which is TAYHAND, and Handberry Creative on all social platforms as Handberry, that's your hand, and a berry, HANDBERRY Creative, and handberrycreative.com as well. Soon to come to Blackspace as soon as Craig finishes.
You know what? This is
you gave her the ammo. You gave her the whole thing.
You know what? Taylor is actually getting me back, y'all, because I'm always teasing her. So she's okay, Taylor. You know we talk outside of this podcast, so. All right, cool, everybody. Yo, we hope that this episode has blessed you. Go follow Taylor on social media. Go check out her website. And if you are in need of any creative branding or marketing or event planning or just the creative wish list, something that you're just trying to get off your chest into the world, go check out Taylor. Hit her up. Her team will absolutely help you with what you need. Thank you so much, Taylor.
Thank you guys. This is so much fun.
Yes.
Y'all auditioning for a third co-host because I like this.
Come on, dude. Listen.
Go through. I know, right? Yo, it's been a pleasure. Let's do well.
Yes. Peace.
Hey, it's Craig from the Do Well Collective podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Wasn't that an amazing conversation with Taylor? She shared so many nuggets of wisdom on business, relationships, faith, and so much more. It was an awesome episode. Join the conversation by reviewing and sharing this episode on your social media. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next episode. Let's do well.